Policy changes in countries like Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom make international students think twice about where they want to study. Buckle up, because in this video I'm sharing 5 countries that are great alternatives to the popular study abroad destination. And the first one, Nummer 1, we have Deutschland. Germany. Germany has always been a popular destination among international students for many reasons. For example, there are no tuition fees at public universities. I think one of the biggest advantages of studying in Germany is that you don't have to spend a lot of money. The policy is based on the fact that Germany wants to make education accessible not only to local students, but also for international students. While tuition may be free, don't forget that you still need to pay for your accommodation, transportation, books. You also have a semester contributions, and it typically varies from 100 to like 500 euros. It's still super affordable compared to Canada, where you need to spend like 20k a year to study. But please bear in mind that studying in a public university is in German, so you need to be fluent. However, you can always find private institutions that teach in English, and the prices depend on the program, so they can vary from 3,000 euros up to 20,000 euros for a year. Another reasons to choose Germany is that they have really quality education, especially in the research-driven programs. Fields like engineering, medicine, and natural sciences are particularly strong. Let's not forget about Germany's location. It's located perfectly in the middle of Europe, so if you want to study and travel, Germany is a great place to be. Also, they have really nice trains and everything. I've heard about Deutsche Bahn. I know that the trains can be late, however, they do exist. You can spend a weekend in another German city, or you can even go to another country, which is amazing. Because in Canada, the only country you can go and spend a weekend in is States, unless you want to like fly to Mexico, Cuba, and whatever. But I mean, Germany's location, amazing. And the best part, the cherry on top, Germany has just changed the naturalization law, meaning you can get citizenship in Germany in 5 years. And if you are super duper qualified, in demand kind of thing person, you can get your citizenship in 3 years. No other country, as far as I know, does not offer that type of citizenship situation. So if you go to, move to another country, get citizenship, get settled, Germany is the country you want to be looking at. However, there are cons to studying in Germany. And I think the major one for many people is a new language. German is not the easiest language, I should say. And I do speak almost 5 languages. I started learning German in grade 6, I think. And all of those, die, der, das, and then like all the cases when die becomes der or das becomes den, and you like, where in English you don't even have that. No like, genders, no like articles, no like cases to the words. So yeah, if you're not willing to learn a new language, maybe Germany is not the place for you. Also, Germany is known for its bureaucracy. The paperwork and the process of getting visa or like residence permit, it might take some time. Despite free tuition fees, it might be still expensive to live in major German cities like Berlin, Frankfurt, Munich, and also the lines to even rent an apartment. Those are crazy. Every time I speak to my friends in Germany, there are literally 50 people in line in front of the building to see one apartment, and the landlords are like, choosing, which is crazy to me because I haven't seen that in Canada. I haven't seen that in Portugal. Well, maybe now that's the case, but Germany's housing market and this whole like Hunger Games situation is just crazy, and you need to be aware of that. Also, weather in Germany might not be everyone's cup of tea. Speaking of tea, because it can get cold, it can even snow. So if you're not ready for snow in your life, Germany, out. And of course, since tuition is free, almost free, the competition is going to be high, because who wants to pay 20,000 euros for tuition? Well, not me. So please be aware of that too. If you want to get your free spot, you need to have good grades, you need to have great language skills, blah, blah, blah. The next country on my list is Ireland. And Ireland has also been on international students' radars for many years. Ireland consistently places among top 10-20 countries to live in according to Global Peace Index, according to other sources. In 2023 it ranked number 3 as the most peaceful country in the world. So why should you choose Ireland? First of all, again, quality education. Irish universities are known for academic excellence and they highly ranked globally. Ireland is an English-speaking country, which is a plus for many international students who want to study abroad. Living in an English-speaking country means it will eliminate the language barrier and that you won't need to learn another language. Ireland is rich in history, the nature is just amazing. Ireland is also home to many tech companies like Google, for example, but also companies in pharmaceuticals, in finance. So if you're planning to do something like this in your life, maybe you should take a closer look at Ireland. Also, Ireland just announced that they are planning to welcome more international students in the upcoming years, which is good news for us. Some of the reasons not to choose Ireland. First of all, the weather. The weather is garbage. The weather is wet, I should say. Since it's a bit higher up north, there is no, Portuguese summer, going to the beach. I mean, there are days like that, for sure. But last year my mom was in Ireland, I think in July. It was plus 15 and it was raining every single day. So if you are okay with that type of weather, sure, Ireland is a perfect place. But if you need more vitamin D and sun in your life, well, maybe Ireland is not for you. The cost of living in cities like Dublin or Cork might be expensive, so moving to Ireland to study might need you a careful financial planning. Compared to countries like the UK, Canada, Ireland has definitely less options to choose from, which can be limiting for some students. This also might mean that there will be more competition to get into those universities. And another major con, I should say, is the cost of study. The average tuition fees for non-European students can vary, but I would say they start at 10,000 euros per year up to 30, which can be a deal breaker for some. So yeah, Ireland offers high quality education, but you need to be really careful and you need to plan really well if you don't want to end up paying a lot of money. And moving on to the next destination for international students, and it is Portugal. And I'm not putting Portugal on the list because I live here, but because I feel like Portugal is a hidden gem. Well, not so hidden anymore. I have a video where I talk just about education in Portugal if you want to take a look after you finish this one. But long story short, Portugal offers also high quality, affordable education. You can get a European passport in 5 years. The weather is just amazing, sunny all year round, except for today when I'm filming, which is amazing. No, sun, no nothing. The lighting is perfect. Portugal is safe and peaceful according to all those resources that I mentioned earlier. On top of that, Portuguese people are really welcoming and friendly. And on top of that, Portuguese people speak English really well. That was a surprise to me. When I moved here, I was like, I know that Portuguese is the primary language, but every time I try to speak Portuguese, they will switch to English. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But then I went to the movies and I realized all the movies are in English and that they learn English at school. So if you're worried about learning Portuguese, you can do that while you're studying, but you can definitely navigate your life in English while studying. As for the downsides, as for the cons, first of all, the living situation in Portugal is just crazy. The housing prices are crazy. You need to be allocating at least 1,500 for a one-bedroom apartment if you're planning to live in Lisbon or in Porto. In Porto, it might be a little bit cheaper, but it's not the Lisbon that we used to know 10 years ago, where you can find an apartment for 400 euros. No, now it's 1,500 plus if you want to live in a nice, spacious apartment with a lot of light, not somewhere in the basement. But of course, you can always find roommates, you can live in dorms. That option is available to you too. Also, Portugal's job market is kind of limited, I should say, because if you're planning to, work after your studies, you might want to move to another country because Portuguese market is really small, the salaries are not that great, especially when you take a look at the rental prices. You like, the math is not mathing. Portugal is also one of those countries where things happen slowly, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about the, plumber coming to see you or if it's your visa application, things might take some time. And again, new language, Portugal's official language is Portuguese, so if you're not planning to learn the language, I mean, you can totally survive without it, but I would encourage that you learn a little bit. Un poco. As for the tuition fees, they vary in public universities from like 3,000 euros per year, which is super affordable, to like 10. And in private universities, you can expect to pay somewhere from like 4,000-5,000 per year up to 10, 12, which is also pretty affordable, I should say, considering the fact that you live in Europe. And the next country on my list is, you'll be surprised, and it's South Korea. When I was doing my research, I found that a lot of students go to South Korea to study, and South Korea is actually encouraging that. The South Korean government just announced that they want to attract 300,000 foreign students by 2027. First of all, they prioritize students who want to study STEM, and they encourage students to apply to universities outside of Seoul because, major cities, that's what happened to them. Korean government also offers different kinds of financial aid and scholarships, and they say they wanna help you with your permanent residency. They wanna have a special fast track for foreign students. Currently it's 6 years to get permanent residency in South Korea. They're planning to cut it in half, so it's gonna be 3 years. So why should you choose South Korea? First of all, it is no surprise to anybody that Asia is like ahead of the whole world. So the technological advancement is real. If you want to study engineering, robotics, electronics, I feel like Asia is the place to be. Again, South Korea offers a bunch of financial aid, scholarships for international students, and they even have special support programs. South Korea is also known for low crime rates, efficient public transportation, and high standard healthcare, which is kinda important and which cannot be seen everywhere in the world. Let's talk about disadvantages. First of all, new language. While the number of programs are taught in English, many courses are still offered in Korean. Also, for your day-to-day life, you might wanna speak some Korean. The culture in South Korea is different, so you might take some time to get used to it, to adjust to the new reality. And while the tuition fees are not that high, the cost of living can be high. Again, it really depends where you go, because if you choose Seoul, yeah, of course it's gonna be super expensive, but if you go to other smaller cities, you might be just fine. I've mentioned tuition fees, but I haven't actually shared them. So, in South Korea, you can study at a public university for as low as 2,000-3,000 USD per year. In private universities, you can expect to pay from like $3,000 to like $7,000 a year, which is pretty affordable. Well, not free education like in Germany, but compared to, for example, Australia, great deal. But please bear in mind that as anywhere in the world, if you want to study medicine, if you want to study business, engineering, if you want to get MBA, those programs can be expensive. And another amazing country for international students is France. France has always been the destination for international students for many reasons, and in 2022/2023 they welcomed over 400,000 international students. France is home to world's most prestigious educational institutions like Sorbonne, like École Normale Supérieure. Like, if you go to Sorbonne, you can go anywhere in the world later on and people will know that your education was amazing. Tuition fees are also really low compared to other European countries, especially if you study in French. They can be like super low, like we're talking 3,000 euros per year for undergraduate programs, 4,000 euros for graduate programs, and like 500 euros for PhD. France is also located perfectly in the middle of Europe, so if you're planning to do your studies and travels, France is the place to be. On top of that, you get amazing history, beautiful architecture, food, wine, And not to mention the French people, the style, the everything. Every time I come to France, I'm like, However, France is not perfect. If you're planning to live in major cities, well, you guessed it, the cost of living is gonna be crazy, like Paris, forget about it. But again, roommates exist. You can share your apartment with like 2 other people and you won't need to spend like lots of money. If you're not proficient in French, you might face with some difficulties because some of the French people, they're like, no, I don't want to talk to you like you gringo. But if you do speak a little bit of French, I'm pretty sure they'll be nice to you. And on top of that, France, alongside with Portugal and Germany, bureaucratic hell. No hate to France, but getting papers done, visas, permits, everything, it takes so much time and effort. So every time people are like, oh, Yulia, you guys speak French, why don't you move to France? I'm like, I've had enough in Quebec. So French bureaucracy, ciao Bella, don't want you. And of course, the competition is gonna be real in prestigious universities because many students wanna study at Sorbonne. Like, you're not the only one, so you need to be prepared for that. Overall, I think studying in France can be a very nice and rewarding experience. However, you need to be prepared for some challenges like bureaucracy. All right, I think this is it for today. If you were to pick the country to study, which one would you pick and why? Let us know in the comments. Maybe you're already studying in a country that was not on this list and you want to share with us your experience. And as always, if you want a video about a specific country, you were like, oh, I kind of like Germany, Yulia, film a video about Germany. Please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here with me. And I'll see you next week. Auf Wiedersehen.